The electric type has some of the coolest and most amped up creatures in the entire franchise, so I wanted to see whether it was possible to even beat all of Pokémon Scarlet using only electric types. Could we overcome Electric's crippling weaknesses to the ground type, or would we short circuit and fail miserably? Well, let's find out. After spawning in, our first priority is finding our first electric Pokémon. Well, Sergeant Surge, you can have any of these 3 Pokémon as your starter. Okay, but which one will become an electric type when I feed it batteries? On second thought, you stay away from these Pokémon. So clearly, we were gonna have to hunt down an electric type of our own. And thankfully, that doesn't take long, as on the Poké Path, we can find our true partner for this run, Palmy. This little electric hamster is perfect for us. It also has such a great and unique design. We've truly never seen anything like this in Pokemon before. After pressing on through the Poké Path, we find an injured electric soldier down on the beach. And since this thing is basically just a glorified version of an e-bike, Arvin hands it over to us for free. Despite this guy being literally useless in battle, by venturing towards Los Platos, we have the chance to catch ourselves another electric baby, Pichu. And I've got to admit, I didn't expect to find such an amazingly original Pokemon in this run, but we're 2 for 2 right now. And with our new electric duo, we were all charged up as we headed towards the gates of Misagoza. But before we can enter the city, Nemona stops us for a battle. It's an even 2 versus 2, so this should be a fair, close fight, and... Wow, Surge, those 2 electric types are so weak. Hey, show a little respect. I'm a war veteran, you know? Wait, you served in the Pokemon War? Yeah, you should be thanking me for all that I've sacrificed for our great country. Uh-huh. Right. Despite losing to Nemona, we're still able to pass through into the grand city of Misagoza, and it's here that we first encounter Team Star. Hey, weakling, we're recruiting new grunts for Team Star. Wanna join? Grunt? I'm a sergeant. I should at least be a boss of Team Star. You? A sergeant? Oh, please. The only serving you've done is serving your pathetic Pokemon up to Nurse Joy after they get knocked out. How dare you disrespect Sergeant Surge like that? I'll teach you to mess with a veteran. Back again? Yeah. After meeting our classmates, we're given our main goals for the challenge: to defeat all 8 gym leaders, slay all 5 titans, and finally, crush the disrespectful delinquents of Team Star. So, with our mission all clear and our living, breathing e-bike ready to take off, we set out into Paldea. The first stop on our journey is the farming town of Cortondo, where the first gym awaits. And after a masterful training drill of pushing a giant olive across an obstacle course, we can immediately step up to face the bug-type baker, Katie. However, considering that our team consists entirely of these 2 babies, and we have all of these extra rules on top to make this challenge even harder, we obviously won't stand much of a chance. But then it hit me. No, wait, not that light bulb. There we go. Near the outskirts of the town, we can reel in an adorable Tadbulb. While this little guy isn't as cool and original as our other 2 team members, it's still a nice power boost for the team. And so, with our newest bulb filling out the roster, we stepped up to tackle Katie and her bugs. She leads with Nimble as we open with Pichu. While our cute little mouse can immediately paralyze it with Nuzzle, Nimble's struggle bugs do a bunch of damage. I then tried landing a Sweet Kiss to confuse the Locust, but despite paralysis and confusion, Nimble just keeps on landing its hits, causing Pichu to go down and giving Katie the early lead. Although Palmy quickly retaliates as a Thundershock evens the score. However, things don't get easier from here, as Tarantula's bug bites do big damage too. With Palmy facing imminent death, all we can do is land paralysis onto Tarantula before our second rat falls, leaving us with only Tadbulb in a 1v2. However, despite Tadbulb putting up a pretty good fight in finishing off Tarantula, Katie's ace, the Buggy Bear, is such a behemoth. So let me ask you this: how many bears does it take to murder a light bulb? Just 1, I guess. With that, we've been handed another loss. Even in a straight-up 3-on-3, our electric types are still no match for Katie's buggy firepower. This is not a good sign at all. But we didn't become Sergeant Surge by just quitting at the first hurdle, so we went back to the drawing board, and it was time to put Pichu through the ringer. taking it on a run, as well as hosing it down. And through this strict regimen, our tiny recruit manages to evolve into its chunkier form, Pikachu, the franchise mascot who not only gets a power boost, but also gets access to 2 new amazing moves in Charm and Nasty Plot. And this boost is exactly what we needed as we once again return to Katie for a rematch. To start round 2, this time we lead with Tadbulb. With a little luck, our static ability activates Paralyzing Nimble. This good fortune means that our Tadbulb can overpower the opposing Locust, still with half of its health remaining. Tarantula then hits the field, and this little guy is the key to our success. First, we have our Tadbulb pick mud into Tarantula's face, lowering its accuracy. Our luck then continues as Static once again leaves Katie paralyzed. Eventually, once our Tadbulb finally falls, Pawmi can come in and start growling at the bug to lower its attack. With this combination of paralysis, lowered accuracy, and lowered attack, Tarantula has basically become entirely harmless. This means that we're safe to bring out Pikachu and begin using Nasty Plot to boost our special attack through the roof. With our electric mouse now supercharged to the max, Tarantula is immediately taken care of, once again leaving Katie with only her deadly terrestrialized bear. However, after Pikachu uses its franchise mascot Charm to lower Teddiursa's attack, this gives us a tiny window to take out Katie's ace with a barrage of Thundershots. With that, we had finally gotten a win on the board, as well as our first gym badge. Wow, great job, young trainer. How did you get so strong? I honed my strength by spending decades serving this great country on the battlefield. Wait, decades? Aren't you like 11? Yep, those decades were truly the bravest thing I've done. With Katie crushed, we can immediately jump over to the east side of Paldea, and it's here that we can find another new Pokemon to add to our roster, Shinx. This little cat is one of the coolest electric types from Sinnoh, and its Intimidate ability is going to make it incredibly useful. But what's even more useful is the fact that it evolves super early too, meaning that in no time at all, we had acquired Luxio into our ranks. And this timing is perfect, as now we have to take on our first Titan of the challenge, the Crab King Claw. It may be a big beefy crab, but we have a charming Pikachu and a very intimidating Luxio. This pair helps us to nerf the gargantuan monster, and after Luxio's sparks deal out some solid damage, Clorf was now low enough for Tadbulb to float on in and drown the rock-type crab with Water Gun. With its first phase done, Clorf tries to retreat to safety, but thankfully, Arven arrives just in time to provide some very crucial backup, as a barrage of Water Guns from Tadbulb and Shelder strike down the Titan, giving us a very clean KO. Wow, Sergeant Surge, you seem to have really bonded with that Miraidon. Of course we're close, Arven. This guy saved me during the war, you know? Wait, what? I literally gave you that Pokemon like 30 minutes ago. I'm a war hero. How dare you call me a liar? Military disrespect aside, now we can leave the barracks of Arven's cave and head towards our second gym challenge in the peaceful town of Artisan. But Brassius is terrifying for our electric types, since grass types resist our electric attacks. Combine that with an Ace Sudowoodo that has a huge defense stat, and our team was facing a surefire defeat as things currently stand. So what can we do? Well, I had an idea. No, Tadbulb, not you this time. By scouring the coast of Paldea, getting dangerously close to murdering the entirety of Paldea's ocean life with our electricity, we can eventually luck out by finding ourselves a Wattrel. This little guy is so goofy and adorable. It's also the first member of our team to have a dual typing, and this additional flying typing is going to be so crucial for us. On top of that, by heading east of Artisan Town, we can also find the TM for Air Cutter, which boosts up our bird even more. And so, with our trio assembled, we stepped up to take on Brassius's grass types in what was about to be our hardest battle so far. And this becomes apparent immediately, as while we do outspeed Brassius's Petalil, Wattrel isn't able to finish it off in one shot. This allows Brassius to use Sleep Powder, putting our goofy little bird to bed. As a result, Petalil can spend the next few turns chipping away at Wattrel, and this is awful, as it means that we're already at low health by the time we eventually finish off Brassius's first Pokemon. The Smolid that follows is also able to withstand an Air Cutter, but thankfully it's only able to get one tackle in before another attack finishes the job on the following turn. This leaves us down to only the scary ace, Sudowoodo. Despite Sudowoodo's low special defense, an Air Cutter only does a third of its HP, after which it only takes a single Trail Blaze to finish Wattrel, while also boosting Brassius's speed. This thing is starting to look very scary. However, we do have a plan, because once Pikachu emerges, it can charm the pants off of Sudowoodo, nerfing the gym leader's ace. And while Trailblazers still do sizable damage, we can bring Sudowoodo to -6 attack by the time Pikachu falls, bringing us down to a 1 versus 1. However, our new Luxio is a god. With an onslaught of bites, we trim down the bonsai tree chomp by chomp before Sudowoodo is eventually chomped into its grave. That was a very dicey fight, and we were only one critical hit away from defeat, but we just scraped by in the end to earn us badge number 2. Pressing on, and while on the road to our next objective, we get a nice buff to the team as our first cadet Pawmi finally hits a growth spurt, evolving into Pawmo. Not only does Pawmo grow a few inches taller, but it also gains a secondary fighting type, which is an incredibly cool type combo. With that, now we were ready to tackle our next objective, the Titan Bombardier. This demon of the sky is usually a menace in these challenges, but this time things would be different, because with a series of super effective sparks, we can fry that oversized turkey straight into its grave for a very quick win. Wow, Sergeant Surge, that Luxio of yours destroyed the Titan. Yep, this Luxio here is another one of the brave soldiers that stood by me during the Great Pokémon War. But I just saw you catch that Pokémon. You were probably just hallucinating, Arvin. Yeah? Well, how about this photo I took of you literally catching Shinx? That photo is also a hallucination. With the second Titan comfortably crushed, now it's time to start our third main goal of the challenge, taking down the pathetic Team Star. On the way though, we meet with Clive, who looks really familiar for some reason. We're friends, right, Sergeant Surge? Ah, I thought you were familiar. You're a private, aren't you? We must have bunked together. What? No, we're friends from Uber Academy. How dare you talk to a superior like that? Now drop and give me 20. While Private Clive was being whipped into shape, we needed to lock in as we prepared to step up to the first major villain of the challenge, Giacomo and his dark types. He leads with Pawniard, and this little guy is in a world of danger because Pawniard has a 4 times weakness to fighting, allowing Pawmo to absolutely arm thrust it into the ground. And you can call out Pawmo the Thrust King because this little guy takes the Starmobile to Pound Town, arm thrusting the giant car all the way down to half HP. This fight was going so smoothly, until it wasn't. Because despite our Pawmo's pummeling, the Starmobile is still such a threat as it finishes off our punching mouse. However, this car wasn't done yet. It wanted more blood, as it then proceeded to wipe out every other electric soldier in our squad. Despite having such a strong start, this giant car is so powerful, putting us in our place. Our electric team was already falling behind. However, I had a plan to juice up our fighter even more. So, after another rigorous training session, we had walked 1,000 miles with our cute little rodent, and this is exactly what we need to boost it into its final, hairiest form, Pawmo. Look at the power! Look at the muscle! With this boost, along with a lucky loaded dice, now we were ready to once again step up to Giacomo for a rematch. Just like last time, Pawmot can quickly deal with Pawniard, breaking its jaw with only 2 thrusts. But this time, when Revavroom hits the field, we pivot out into our Tadbulb, who can set up a light screen to nerf the Starmobile's special attacks. And thanks to this, Pawmot can return to the battlefield and begin thrusting to its heart's content. After connecting with nearly a dozen punches, it only takes one last pluck from our goofy bird to finally finish off the Starmobile. It had been a struggle, but that's the first Team Star boss taken care of. Ugh, I can't believe I lost to a scrub like you. Scrub? I'm a sergeant. The sergeant who's going to teach you a little lesson with some shock therapy. With Giacomo having been taught all about the wonders of electricity, next we headed for the bright lights of Levincia, and this place presents a huge hurdle for the challenge. Not only because it's the location of the next gym, but also because the leader, Iono, is an electric type user too. So we were all set for an electric type showdown. Before that though, we're confronted in the gym lobby by our rival, Nemona. Ah, Nemona, finally come to thank me for all my sacrifices? If you're really a war veteran, then where did you serve? That's classified. Okay, then how did a 10-year-old join the army? Also classified. Have you ever told the truth, even once in your life? Definitely classified. Out of frustration, Nemona forces us into a battle. We've already lost to her in the past, but we've got a much stronger team than last time. With Pawmot's powerful punches, we're able to crush both Rockruff and Pawmi fairly comfortably. Although, Nemona's Florigato is a monster, taking down Pawmot as well as manhandling our Pikachu that came in next. This thing is literally the rat exterminator right now. Despite that, thankfully, we still have our birdie bro. With a super effective pluck, Wattrel finishes Florigato, securing yet another victory for Sergeant Surge. Our goofy little bird has been a hard carry in these last few fights. 1 like equals 1 bird seed for our bird buddy. Having even the score with Nemona, now it was time for us to head into the trenches of the Iono zone. Alright Sergeant, in order to face me, you'll need to identify Director Clavel in the crowd. Are you up to the task? Am I up to it? Huh, I'm a master marksman, Iono. I'll clear this in record time. Okay, that was just embarrassing. Look, you're holding up all the other trainers and I haven't got all day, so let's just get this over with. Thanks to our expert search skills, now we were ready for combat. It's an electric on electric showdown, meaning that neither of us had the advantage. This was going to be our toughest battle yet, and so, after assembling our strongest squad, we stepped up to take on Iono. She leads with Wattrel, and it's crucial that we immediately set the tempo. And thankfully, we've taught our Pikachu Draining Kiss. By combining this with Nasty Plot to boost our special attack, this means that Pikachu can smooch Iono's Wattrel right into its grave, while also recovering back our HP. Poor Wattrel though, death by Snoo Snoo is tough. But Pikachu wasn't done yet, because with this incredibly powerful strategy, Pikachu is also able to outpace both Iono's Luxio, as well as Bellibolt, burying them with the power of Draining Kiss. This brings the fight down to a 4v1, and obviously it's clear that we're the best electric trainer around. There's absolutely no way we could lose. Are you kidding me? I don't believe it. We were in such a dominant position, but this electric Terra Miss Magius is an absolute menace. Not only does it have insane stats, but with moves like Confuse Ray and Hex, as well as Charge Beam to boost its special attack, our team just crumbled. We were crushed under the strength of Iono's ace, somehow snatching defeat from the jaws of victory. But while we may have lost the battle, we haven't lost the war. To stand any chance of beating Iono, we needed to regroup and reform the best possible team of electricians. Paulmont, I love you, buddy, but personal space, bro. After searching all across Paldea, we're able to find our key to powering up, the Thunderstone. And this is huge for us, because by picking up 2 of these hidden across the region, we can first evolve our Pikachu into the much chunkier Raichu. And on top of that, our adorable little Tadbulb finally grows legs, evolving into my favorite friend-shaped frog, Bellibolt. With these 2 new electrified monsters of mass destruction on our side, we stormed back into Iono's gym, ready for a rematch. This time, I lead with our Luxio, who can chomp on Wattrel, eating the entire bird in just 2 bites. Iono responds by sending in her own Luxio next, but now it's time for our Bellibolt to take center stage. With some very stylish wide glasses equipped onto our chunky soldier, Bellibolt's Mudshots do well over half of Luxio's HP. And to make things even better, Bellibolt also knows Slack Off, a move that heals us right back up. Thanks to this, we're quickly able to shoot through Iono's electric cat, as well as her very own Bellibolt one after another. In a serious case of deja vu, once again, Miss Magius emerges in yet another 4v1. Unfortunately, Miss Magius's Levitate ability is a hard counter to Bellibolt's Mudshot. However, our Bellibolt isn't useless here by any means, as it can still set up a light screen, greatly neutering Iono's damage output. Then, by going into Luxio, we can lower Miss Magius's defense by using Leer. And after re-establishing our light screen with Bellibolt, we can finally bring in our ace, Hormot, who powers through confusion to thrust the nerf Miss Magius straight into its grave. It wasn't easy, but we had finally conquered Iono, earning our 3rd gym badge and establishing us as the strongest electric trainer in all of Paldea. Those last few battles were tough, but it had forced our team to become stronger. And we weren't done yet, as at the current level cap, our Wattrel can evolve into the incredibly cool-looking Killer Wattrel. Now our team was truly becoming supercharged, and the next team star boss, Mela, would be the first to experience our newfound power. Since Raichu can learn the move Surf, for some strange reason, this makes wiping through Mela's fire types a breeze, as we quickly claim the scalp of the second team star boss. And our momentum doesn't slow down there either, as we immediately head on over to take on our next titan, the goofy, oversized Orthworm. But just as the food chain goes, the humble worm pales in comparison to our bird, Killer Wattrel. I promise it is there. Our invisible bird shocks the Titan like it's nothing, as Tailwind, combined with Electro Ball, does huge damage, slaying the Titan in just a few turns. Oh man, I'm really worried about my poor Mabastiff. Don't worry, Arvin, I have just a solution to this problem. Really? You can save Mabastiff? Even better. I got you a Robo-Dog instead. It even flips. Leave me alone. Some people are just so ungrateful. It makes me so angry. Although, not as angry as Voltorb, the raging, rolling electric type that is perfect for our squad. Yep, this little guy is going to be the strongest member of our team. Never mind. Rest in peace, little guy. Thankfully, soon after, we can find a replacement Voltorb who we are able to catch this time around. This little guy doesn't really have a lot going for it outside of its willingness to explode. Regardless, with that, we began our journey towards Cascaratha to take on the next gym. After seeing us roll up with our army of electric types, Kofu utterly runs for his life. And he's right to do so, because at the current level cap, our team was about to get even stronger, with Luxio evolving into Luxray, as well as our little grenade evolving into Electrode. This dude definitely has some evil intent behind him. Whew, I think I finally escaped. That would have been a catastrophe for my water types. In what I'm sure is a surprise to no one, Kofu's water types stand absolutely no chance against our electricity. Electrode quickly electrocutes his first two fish with ease, but as Kofu sent in his ace Crabominable Ball, I knew exactly what we had to do.
Tactical nuke incoming!
Well, that was a bit underwhelming. Regardless, this doesn't stop us from quickly cleaning up Kofu's crab in the next turn, giving us an easy win and marking the halfway point in our gym challenge. So, those last few fights were all pretty straightforward, and I started thinking that the rest of this challenge would be a breeze. But let me tell you, I was wrong. Because a powerful opponent was waiting just around the corner, Atticus and his poison types. The third team star boss has a scary team of fully evolved Pokemon, combined with a powerhouse of a Starmobile. Despite that, with our electric squad assembled, we stepped forward to take on our strongest opponent so far. Atticus's lead Skuntank is fairly simple to work around, as it likes to go for Sucker Punch, meaning we can use our trusty Raichu and hit it with a charm to reduce its attack. Our luck continues as we then successfully set up a nasty plot, but we flew too close to the sun, as a surprise Venoshock hits our electric mouse hard. On top of that, a Sucker Punch on the following turn actually lands, leaving us on only 3 HP before a Thunderbolt finally finishes the skunk. Revavroom hits the field next, and this thing is a giga threat. With super effective bulldozers, it rips through both Raichu as well as Electrode. We need to deal with this toxic car immediately, so I send in Luxray next to nerf its attack with Intimidate before switching into Kilowattrel, who isn't affected by the incoming bulldoze. After being hit by a sludge that also leaves us poisoned, the toxic engine finally goes down. However, we still can't get any momentum, as Atticus follows up with his Muck, who quickly gets the revenge KO onto our Kilowattrel with Sludge Wave. And while Bellibolt can eventually overpower Muck, unfortunately, Atticus still has his Starmobile in the back. It's a big venomous beast, and we just can't overpower it. The Starmobile hit and runs all over the rest of our team, serving us up with yet another devastating loss. Despite how dominant we've been lately, Atticus's team was just a step too far for our electric types. Even with our fully evolved Pokemon, we still got crushed. However, we're not out of options yet, because there's another electric type in Paldea that is exactly what we need right now: Magnemite. The tiny metallic magnet might not seem like much right now, but after a little shopping trip to the nearby Delibird presence, our Magnemite quickly transforms into the terrifying robot Magnezone, an ultra-powerful special attacker who, more importantly, has an incredibly useful secondary steel type. So, armed with our new giant floating magnet, we charge back to Atticus's forest, ready for revenge. This time, we lead with our new Magnezone, who completely walls Skuntank. For now, we just paralyze the skunk with a Thunder Wave before hard switching into Bellibolt, who mudshot Skuntank into oblivion once again. Then, against Revavroom, we repeat the plan from last time, hard switching into Kilowattrel. Then, by using Volt Switch, not only do we deal decent damage, but it also allows us to repeatedly rotate between our Magnezone and Kilowattrel over and over again. And due to their respective type immunities, these two put Revavroom in a chokehold, clearing us to take it down. After overpowering Muck just like last time, Atticus was once again down to only his Starmobile, the Pokemon who decimated us last time. However, this time would be different, because this time we have Raichu ready to charm the wheels off of that car. With 2 charms, we nerf the attack of Atticus's ace into the dirt, and with that, our Magna Zone is all clear to glide back onto the battlefield. Tri-attacks from our Magna do decent damage, chipping away at the Starmobile, and after a late switch into our Ace Hormot, we chomp away the last of the Starmobile's HP, giving us some impressive revenge against our toughest opponent yet. Ugh, I can't believe I lost to Sergeant Scrub. Sergeant Scrub? That kind of disrespect will not be tolerated, Poison Boy. With our 3rd Team Star Boss left in the mud, our electric types and I were buzzing, but things were going to get even better, because it's at this point in the run that we can get 6 new Pokémon. At least, kinda. As, after eventually reaching our next destination, it's here that we can find one of the best electric types ever conceived, Rotom. In its current form, it's already a pretty cool electric ghost that can possess electronics, machines, and oh my god, Rotom's possessing your YouTube device right now and is making you like the video and subscribe to my channel. What a monster! Anyway, this possession ability is incredibly useful. So, next we head down to the Porto Marinado auction house, and by implementing my masterful negotiation technique of spending all of my money, we're also able to buy ourselves a copy of the Rotom catalog. And this lets us transform our Rotom into 5 different forms, each with a unique typing. I honestly love this gimmick so much. So let me know in the comments which Rotom form is your favorite. For now though, our Rotom will be staying in its ghost type base form, as our next stop on the gym challenge brings us to the town of Medali, where the 5th gym leader resides. And shortly after ordering our daily rations from the local restaurant, we're then confronted by the king of the normies, Larry. Oh man, I've seen cold, distant eyes like that before. You must be an experienced vet just like me. Huh? Kid, I've been working so much that I haven't seen my wife and kids in 3 days. I just want a vacation. Only 3 days? I haven't seen my family in over a decade. Yep, they're but a distant memory to me now. As far as gym leaders go, Larry is no pushover for your average Pokemon trainer. Except, in our case, we have Larry's worst nightmare at our disposal, because Rotom can quite literally cheese almost all of Larry's team. His lead Kamala can only hit us with yawns and sucker punches, but by stalling out these attacks, we can bury his koala very easily. And from here, things only get worse for the salaryman, because his Dunsparce, who's usually a massive pain to deal with, literally can't do anything to Rotom, thanks to the combination of our ghost typing and levitate ability. As a result, Rotom had quickly zapped the life out of both of Larry's first 2 Pokemon. His final hopes rest on the shoulders of Staraptor, who does become scarier thanks to terrestrialization, except its only attack that can hit us is Aerial Ace, which isn't all that powerful, meaning we can quickly lower Staraptor down to half health before switching into Electrode, before unleashing a devastating self-destruct and... oh, come on! Do something for once, stupid ball. Thankfully, we still have our Magnezone, who can clean up the fight with Flash Cannon, sealing our win over Larry and earning us badge number 5. Hi, Sergeant Surge. I'm the champion, Geeta. I've been impressed with your performance in the gym challenge so far. Why, thank you, Geeta. As a veteran, it's nice to finally get some respect around here. Wait, a war veteran? How could you possibly... Don't listen to him, La Primera. He's never told the truth even once in his life. See what I mean? You don't get this kind of disrespect from the people in Kanto. Alright then, Surge. How about you tell us where you were stationed then? Electrode, go! Having escaped Nemona for now, we set our sights on the next gym badge, bringing us all the way through the icy mountains into the Halloween haven of Montenevera. This next gym specializes in double battles, adding a whole other layer of difficulty. On top of that, Rhyme's team is incredibly stacked, so we needed to assemble the strongest team possible before squaring up. And in search of more power, I headed out into the grassy fields of Paldea, because it's here that we can uncover one of the most prestigious, most dangerous, most powerful VGC Pokemon that you'll ever lay your eyes on. Yep, you heard me right. Pachirisu is a Pokemon World Champion, having squared up against dragons like it's nobody's business. On top of that, with such a unique and cool design that's never been seen before in Pokemon, it's the perfect inclusion for the team. But we're not done yet, because by retreating to the outskirts of Misagoza, we can find ourselves yet another pint-sized electric type, the tiny Toxel. But to reach its final form, this little guy needs to have its friendship raised. So, to make it love me, we just take our little Toxel for a bath and Just like that, we had gotten our very own Toxtricity. And with these two new Pokemon on our side, we stepped up to take on gym number 6 against the MC of RIP. Rhyme leads with a pair of spooky-looking toys as we instantly put our new Pachirisu to work. Our pet squirrel's job here is to charm the non-existent pants off of Mimikyu to lower its attack. In the meantime, our Toxtricity begins just spamming discharges, which hits everything on the field. And this works incredibly well at first, as we quickly bring down both of Rhyme's lead Pokemon to low HP, as well as leave them paralyzed. As a result, our new duo put in so much work, picking up the KOs on both Banette and Mimikyu in no time. We had a huge lead, but then Rhyme's own Toxtricity hits the field. I was still feeling confident, however, the live studio audience then started to cheer, giving Rhyme's Pokemon a speed boost. And this changes the paradigm of the fight entirely, as now Rhyme outspeeds us, with Hyper Voice ending our Toxtricity. But even worse is the fact that because she terastallized, the crowd cheers again, this time giving Rhyme an Omni boost. This is completely unfair. As a result, the tide of the battle completely turns, as Rhyme's boosted Pokemon utterly decimate the remainder of our squad. Not only did we lose, but we got crushed in probably the most unfair way possible. Regardless, in search of revenge, I immediately stepped back onto the stage, ready to face Rhyme in a rematch. This time, our Bellibolt joins Toxtricity out in front, and our Chunky Frog makes for great support because it knows electric terrain, a move that boosts the power of our electric moves. And on top of that, this time, Toxtricity breaks Mimikyu's disguise by using Trailblaze, which has the added effect of also giving us a speed boost. Thanks to this setup, we're in a much better position this time around. A pair of discharges, KO Banette, and another Trailblaze on the following turn can also finish Mimikyu. Thanks to our much better setup this time around, Rhyme's Toxtricity is much more manageable, as a boosted discharge from Bellibolt takes it out. And once Rhyme's Houndstone also falls soon after, we had gotten our revenge. So yeah, that Pachirisu I hyped up, completely useless. But thankfully, we were still able to get the win over Rhyme, as well as our 6th gym badge. At this point of the run, we have 2 remaining boss fights in each of the 3 main quest lines. And first, we turn our attention to the Titans. One of these just so happens to be a giant catfish and his bento box. To deal with these 2 water types, thankfully, we have the Master of Waves in our party. With a barrage of electrified thunderbolts, the wet whale Dondozo is deep fried and taken down very quickly. Even against the more menacing Tatsugiri that follows, we still managed to cook that fish with a stream of electric attacks, eventually cleaning it up no sweat. Oh, Mabastiff, I can't wait for the day that you're feeling better again, and we can play fetch like we used to. Okay, but can Mabastiff do a backflip though? Stop talking about the stupid electric dog! While the last Titan was a walk in the park, the final Titan we have to fight is a very different story. The ground Titan Iron Treads. With incredibly powerful stats, deadly moves, and a typing that hard counters my electric attacks, this monster is by far one of our deadliest opponents yet. If we tried to take on this behemoth as we are now, I know for a fact we would get crushed. So instead, I needed to hunt for another electric type, and I have just the thing in mind. Tynamo, the tiny electric eel that can immediately bulk up into the floating menace, Electros. With its levitate ability, Electros has no weaknesses to any Pokemon type, meaning it can stand toe-to-toe with the Titan. Additionally, with a little paranormal DIY, we can customize our Haunted Light Bulb, turning it into Rotom Wash, a Pokemon with the incredible electric water type combo, which sounds about as deadly as taking a toaster into a bathtub. Regardless, with our new levitating duo, we approached Iron Treads ready for a showdown. Except this fight wasn't close at all, because it turns out our new Rotom is a beast. It only takes a quick Hydro Pump to utterly annihilate the futuristic ground-type beast. That Titan quickly went from the hunter to the hunted in no time at all. After hosing down the metallic Donphan into the dirt, we had finally conquered every Titan Pokemon in the region. Oh, thank God, Mabastiff, you're finally healthy again! That's a relief. If that didn't work, I was gonna have to resort to using shock therapy on it. Wait, you were going to electrocute my dog? No? You're insane! I'm done with you, you off-brand Temu version of Lieutenant Surge! How dare you? I'll show you who's the Temu branded knockoff. Putting Arvin's insults aside, as we've got to put him on the back burner for now, instead, we turn our attention towards taking on the final two gym leaders. But to be honest, both of these fights are very straightforward. We can chomp through Tulip's psychic types with Electros and Luxray for some quick, easy kills. And after that, to take on the Ice-type Master Grusher, we've reworked our washing machine into a microwave, capable of not only causing mass destruction, but also of baking delicious muffins. Anyway, our combination of Rotom Heat, Hormone, and Magnezone give us enough firepower to slice through Grusher's ice types with ease. This gives us our 8th badge, as the final gym leader had fallen to the might of our electricity. Hey Nimona, guess which war hero has 2 thumbs and 8 gym badges? Dude, didn't you attack me with an electrode earlier? That wasn't me. Ugh, you are the most insufferable liar I've ever met. With Arvin and Nimona now eagerly waiting to beat us down in the future, that leaves us with only the final 2 team star bosses, Eri and Ortega, the latter of which is a master of fairy types, which would be a huge issue for us, if not for the fact that we have a Toxtricity and Magnezone. These 2 electric soldiers absolutely run rampant through Ortega's team with super effective attacks. Not even his Starmobile can withstand the raw power of our Sludge Bombs and Flash Cannons. Huh, that was the easiest star battle yet. You should be ashamed, Ortega. Shut it, Sergeant Scrub. Everyone knows that you're lying about your identity. While Ortega had been taught a valuable lesson about spreading misinformation, our attention is turned towards Team Star's strongest leader, Eri. With a devastatingly powerful team of fighting types, as well as her hyper-powered star car, this fight was looking insanely difficult. So I hatched a new plan. If we were going to beat her, we'd have to go undercover. Ah, Sergeant Surge, you must be here to take me on and... Wait. What are you wearing? Who is this Sergeant Surge you speak of? My name is Sergeant Surge, your newest and closest ally. Okay, somehow that genius plan didn't work. In that case, I guess it's time for Plan F. By heading back to Medali, there's a chance for us to find a fairy type for our ranks, as we can eventually hunt down the bane of all fighters, Dedenne. Not only does it have such an original design, but its secondary fairy type makes it the perfect addition to our team to try and take on the final leader of Team Star. Well, hopefully it can at least contribute a little more than Pachirisu did. So, with our new little Pipsqueak, as well as our 5 other electric fighters assembled, we stepped forward, ready to take on the fighting type powerhouse, Eri. Her lead Toxicroak doesn't have much of an answer for our Toxtricity except a Sucker Punch. So, after having Kilowattrel land some chip damage with Volt Switch, we're free to pivot into our Toxtricity on a Poison Jab. Then, Eri's Toad does try to land Sucker Punch, but we can avoid this entirely by instead using Toxic Spikes, setting up some deadly hazards on Eri's side of the field. From here, once that Kilowattrel emerges, it only takes a single super effective Air Cutter to draw first blood. Next up is Eri's Annihilate, which is slightly harder to control. An Air Cutter does just under half before an Ice Punch from the Undead Ape cripples our bird. This is a very dicey situation. However, by using Roost, we can heal up while also temporarily ditching our flying type, allowing Kilowattrel to just survive long enough for the poison damage to eat away at Annihilate, putting it in range for our Temu Zapdos to claim its second KO of the fight. Unfortunately, Eri's 3rd Pokemon is Persimmon, and this is where our luck starts to run out. Since I expect a Rock Tomb to be coming the way of my bird, I decide to switch into Pawmot, who resists Rock. However, the speed drop from Rock Tomb means that Persimmon outspeeds us on the next turn, with a close combat turning our Thruster into the Thrusty. And things were about to get even worse for us, because while Kilowattrel should be able to easily clean up Eri's Gorilla, we miss an Air Cutter. This allows Persimmon to take out our Kilowattrel, and losing our only flying type is such a huge blow to our chances. Thankfully though, now it was time for us to unleash our demonic beast, Dedenne. Behold its unrelenting power and rage! And our new star was about to make a huge debut, as the one-of-a-kind electric mouse quickly cleans up Persimmon for the KO. Although, the Lucario that Eri follows with is a lot harder to deal with thanks to its joint steel typing. As such, we quickly hit a Volt Switch, allowing us to pivot into our bouncy Belly Bolt. The Fat Frog doesn't stand much of a chance against Lucario, but it does manage to at least deal some chip damage, and this makes all the difference, as once the almighty Dedenne re-emerges, Lucario is quickly buried by Discharge. This leaves Eri with only her Starmobile, but this thing is a monster, and we are absolutely in danger here. It's a 3v1, with our tiny mouse staring down the huge pimped out ride. Against all odds, what can we do? Well, Charm it, of course. With its power of unrelenting cuteness, our Pipsqueak can get to work, gradually nerfing the attack of the Starmobile into the dirt. And while we can't get the KO with Dedenne alone, our Mighty Mouse is an absolute trooper, lowering the Starmobile to half health with dazzling gleams. This clears a path for our Raichu to come on in, and after tanking some nerfed high horsepowers, a Thunderbolt brings the Starmobile into the red. And from here, with one last radical surf, we finally wipe out the last Starmobile, shocking Eri into submission. Ugh, I can't believe I lost to you! Because of my might? Because of my skills? Because of my unrelenting fairy mouse? No, because you're a lying scrub, cosplaying as Lieutenant Surge! That's it! I've had it with you Team Star bullies! Dedenne, teach her a lesson. With Eri having felt the full might of our electricity, Sergeant Surge was now entering the final leg of our challenge, where we would have to contend with our three biggest haters, Arven, Nemona, and the big boss of Team Star. So, with such a hard lineup of battles to come, to give us the best chance possible, I decided to hunt down and recruit the final remaining electric types of Paldea. First, in the northern province of Paldea, we can find the adorable assistant of Johto Lighthouses, Ampharos. While it's a pretty slow Pokemon, it is incredibly powerful and will definitely be a light in the rest of our challenge. Next, by scouring the outskirts of Medali, we can recruit Jolteon, the lightning dog. However, these two definitely pale in comparison to the final teammate we're able to recruit, Pincurchin. Yep, this confusingly aquatic sea urchin is 100% going to make a huge difference. Definitely. Totally. Now we had successfully assembled every possible electric soldier in Paldea. So now it was time for us to truly begin the endgame and see if we could truly conquer Pokémon Scarlet. And that all starts with Arven. Sergeant Surge, I'm sick of your lies. You're obviously not a war veteran, just leave me alone. Oh yeah? Well then, if I'm not a real soldier, then how did I get these badges? Is that my dad's lab coat? No, this coat is mine. I'll have you know that I dug up this grave myself. Wait. Grave? Arven's final team of 6 may be stacked with powerful Pokemon, however, half of them are absolutely hard-countered by our Teemu Zapdos. As a result, Kilowattrel goes huge here, decimating half of Arven's team with Hurricane and Discharge. Before long, Arven was down to only his newly healed Mastiff, but this thing is no pushover, as it quickly mauled through our Big Cat and Naked Sheep. However, thankfully, our Pawmot is still standing. And with one last super effective close combat, Arven's puppy is punched into oblivion. Arven had been crushed and quickly ran after his airborne dog. Silly Arven, a robot dog would have tanked that hit. That's one questline taken care of, leaving just 2 more to go. And after quickly giving Clive a nice, relaxing, electrified bath, we were finally ready to confront the boss of Team Star. Alright Penny, you and Team Star have disrespected me for the last time. Think again, Sergeant Surge. I've already hacked into your computer. I know your deepest, darkest secret. She knows the truth? I have to wipe her out before she tells anyone. Penny leads with her Umbreon, so we use our proven method of dealing with Dark-type dogs as a close combat from Pawmot clobbers Umbreon into red health. However, she fires back with a huge Psychic, which also brings us to the brink of death. Regardless, that shouldn't stop us from outpacing her, except Umbreon has Quick Attack. This priority move allows Penny to move first, giving her the early lead as Pawmot goes down. To retaliate, we send in our very own evolution as Jolteon kicks Umbreon to the curb. But besides her Umbreon, most of Penny's Pokemon really aren't too much of a threat, meaning that we quickly blitz through her Pokemon until Penny was left with only her ace, Sylveon. This thing is so deadly with its Terra-boosted Moonblasts, dealing enormous damage. Despite that, thanks to us having most of our team still alive, we can gradually chip away at her ace before one final discharge from Ampharos eventually seals us the win. But while we may have beaten Penny in battle, we had to make sure that she would never spill Sergeant Surge's secret. Boss, we came as quick as we could. Yeah, and we bought the giant metal spoons, just like you asked. What? I never asked you to do that. Why would I want you to be holding giant metal spoons? Oh dear God. With Arven and Penny both having been shown the power of electricity, that leaves the Pokemon League as our next objective. Home to some incredibly powerful trainers, including one in particular who I have been dreading for this entire challenge. Alright, Sergeant Surge, stay calm. Yes, Rika might be about to bury me under 500 tons of dirt, but it's important to try and remain confident. Thank you for coming today. I'm not afraid of you! That's right, the first Elite Four member is Rika, who specializes in ground types, the bane of electric type Pokemon. Not only do our electric types have no effect on ground types, but ground type Pokemon are also super effective against us. Truly, this is the Grim Reaper of any electric team. Regardless, we have to make it past Rika if we want any chance of conquering Paldea. So, without any other choice, we stepped up to face our biggest threat yet. Rika instantly opens with her deadly Whiscash. However, we have a plan, because not only can our Rotom wash clothes and bake muffins, but it can also do lawn work too. As a result, our levitating grass type can instantly fire off a quad-effective Leaf Storm, crippling Whiscash in a single shot. Rika follows up with the fire type Camerupt, and since we need to keep our Rotom alive, I decide to switch into Electros, basically sacrificing it to a barrage of Fire Blasts. But as a result, we can safely bring in our Surfing Raichu, who quickly drowns out the ground type Camel. Against her prehistoric Iron Treads, a Grass Knot brings it into the red, before an Earthquake utterly buries Raichu in a single hit. However, we have another Electric Mouse to take its place, with Dedenne finishing Donphan with Dazzling Gleam. And at this point, we're all clear to cut Rika's grass, as Rotom mows through the rest of Rika's team with a barrage of Leaf Storms, giving us a clutch win against our worst matchup yet. Clearly, our team had gotten pretty strong. As such, it should come as no surprise that by comparison, the next two Elite Four members were no match for our high voltage plays. And look, even our Pincurchin got to contribute and it's gone. Regardless, we quickly cleaned up Poppy's Steel types, and if there's any Larry fans in the chat, look away now, because our electric types utterly decimated this man's flying type team, effectively frying his birds into an assortment of crispy chicken. So those two fights were completely free. However, Hassel is a different story, because not only do dragons resist electric attacks, but we don't have many good options for dealing with dragons. So yeah, our hopes for this fight basically rest on the tiny shoulders of our Soul Fairy type Dedenne. I'm in danger, aren't I? Hassel leads with a Noivern, who, thankfully, is quite weak to ice. As such, 2 Ice Fangs from Luxray are enough to give us the early lead. His Dragalge, on the other hand, is much more dangerous. I tried switching into Kilowattrel, but this goes horribly wrong, as 2 Sludge Bombs instantly shoot our bird out of the sky. However, this is where our Toxtricity comes in clutch, because by locking Dragalge into a poison move with Encore, now Toxtricity can comfortably tank its attacks, buying us enough time to set up Toxic Spikes on Hassel's side of the field. And this is huge for us, as while Toxtricity does soon fall, our newly refurbished Refrigerator can hit Dragalge with Blizzard to finish it off. Hassel sends in his deadly Haxorus next, who is instantly poisoned on entry. Then, with some careful pivoting, we're able to safely bring in our Dragon Slayer, Dedenne. And after tanking an Iron Head, it only takes a single Dazzling Gleam, combined with a little poison damage, to finish off Haxorus. Hassel's Flapple is next and quickly retaliates as a Seed Bomb finishes our Electric Mouse. And things were about to get from bad to worse as Luxray somehow misses its Ice Fang, clearing Flapple to bury yet another one of our Pokemon. What is happening? Why is my team getting crushed by a literal winged apple? It was all down to the wire in a 2v2. However, this is where Ampharos goes huge, because by using Cotton Guard, we massively boost our defenses. And this is vital, as after a Dazzling Gleam finishes Flapple, Hassel sends in his ace, the powerhouse Baxcalibur. However, we have our defense boosts, which means that we can definitely survive a hit, except we get crit by Glaive Rush. Great. Awesome. Thank you, Mr. Pokemon. This means that it's all down to Rotom Frost to clutch up against the Ace Dragon. We just need to land a 70% accurate Blizzard and... we do! Blizzard connects, knocking out Baxcalibur immediately, giving us an insanely close win to finish off the Elite Four. With that taken care of, now it was time for us to confront the champion, Geeta. I'm impressed, Sergeant. I didn't expect a fellow soldier to make it this far. Wait, fellow soldier? You're a veteran too, Geeta? Of course. I spent years fighting alongside Lieutenant Surge. Honestly, the amount of blood on my hands, I can still hear the screams. I wouldn't wish that on anyone. So, are we gonna battle some Pokemans or... Geeta's leader Sparthra can be a problem with its Psychic and Fairy coverage, so we get around that by leading with our Magnezone, who's a great counter. After being hit by a Lumina Crash that also lowers our special defense, Magnezone absolutely clutches up, as Discharge also paralyzes the Sparthra. This means that on the next turn, we outspeed the Psychic Chicken, clearing us to KO Geeta's first Pokemon. Next in is Avalugg, who wants to land an Earthquake onto Magnezone, but we get around around this by switching into our Flying-type Kilowattrel, and by using Volt Switch, we chip away at Avalugg, while also safely bringing Magnezone back in, who can now finish off Gita's second Pokemon with Flash Cannon. And from here, the momentum in this fight was completely on our side, as Gita's next few Pokemon gradually fell before the might of our electricity, until ultimately, the champ was down to only her venomous ace, Glomora. However, not even it can stop us, as Raichu quickly surfs all over the poisonous rock, finishing the fight. Gita had been crushed, and we had claimed the crown of Paldean champion. And I'm sure there's one person in particular who won't be happy about that. Wait, what? How could Gita lose to a fraud like you? I'm no fraud. I'll have you know that I've committed war crimes on all 7 continents. All 7? Even Antarctica? Against who? The Penguins? Especially the Penguins. It was time to show Nemona, once and for all, that we're the real deal. Although, that's easier said than done, because she's got a powerhouse team with amazing type coverage and 0 weaknesses to electric. Regardless, I assembled my best team of electric soldiers before charging towards the battlefield, ready to start some fireworks. Once again, we lead with Magnezone, who this time is floating in the air thanks to its air balloon. This means that we can ignore Lycanroc's Drill Run, instead tanking a Stone Edge before a single Flash Cannon annihilates the Rocky Dog. Although, now that our balloon has been popped, the incoming Earthworm is threatening to Earthquake our robot. So, we use this opportunity to switch into our levitating Electros, which is completely free. Earthworm begins chipping away at us with Body Press, so we respond by using Coil, a move that boosts both our attack and defense. On top of that, our leftovers help to keep our eel healthy, clearing us to safely hit a third Coil, after which a single close combat is all we need to take down the Alaskan Bullworm. Nemona replaces her worm with a giant slug, but it's also weak to fighting, which means that another close combat picks up yet another KO. From here, we begin trading Pokemon back and forth, with Nemona and I going blow for blow, as this fight begins to come right down to the wire. Before long, Nemona was down to only her ace, Meowscarada, who instantly wants blood, crushing our Pawmot with Play Rough. And while Magnezone is able to do some chip damage, it's still not enough to handle Nemona's ace. However, with Meowscarada's HP at this range, now is the perfect time to unleash our Electrode. Our Angry Ball rolls into battle before immediately just exploding in the middle of the field. This is enough to finally wipe out the monstrous Meowscarada, and even Nemona was turned to dust, giving us a decisive win over our rival. With that, we had finally become the strongest electric trainer in Pokemon history, and... Attention Sergeant Surge, you're under arrest for committing unspeakable war crimes, as well as for the impersonation of a soldier. Oh god, it's the feds! Quick, Miraidon, we gotta scram! In an effort to flee the scene and Officer Jenny ASAP, we head for the safest place in all of Paldea, Area 0. And once here, we rush down the hills of the crater before eventually reaching the laboratory of Professor Turo. Hey, students aren't allowed down here. I better report this to the director. Quiet, Robo-Boy. You take one more step and I'll have to shock you into a factory reset. The Professor is by far the hardest opponent of the entire game, boasting a powerful team of Paradox Pokemon that are way stronger than anything on my roster. However, our electric types have overcome every hurdle so far, and I believed in our Sparky soldiers. So, after assembling our strongest 6, we stepped forward to face our doom. This is Turo. The Professor leads with Iron Moth, a Pokemon that we don't have a great answer for. So, I put my faith in our friend-shaped frog, who gets ripped apart by the opening Sludge Bomb. However, I prayed that our quad-effective Mud Shot would be enough to get the kill, and... we just miss out. As a result, Turo quickly draws first blood as Belly Bolt is bounced into the Shadow Realm. Despite that, our Teemu Zapdos can reliably follow up, quickly evening the score with a discharge. But Turo follows up with Iron Thorns, one of the coolest electric types ever invented. Its rock typing makes it an uber threat to Kilowattrel, so we quickly Volt Switch out into Luxray, who luckily dodges the incoming Stone Edge. But we're not out of the woods yet, because this thing also has ground type coverage with Earthquake, making it so hard to deal with. However, this is where our Electros comes in, dodging Earthquake with its Levitate ability before hitting Iron Thorns with a super effective Bulldoze for big damage. And despite suffering a critical hit in the process, one more Bulldoze is enough to slay the incredibly dangerous electrified Tyranitar. But our lead doesn't last long, as Iron Jugulus quickly lands a Flamethrower, bringing it back to an even fight once again. In a battle of birds, we send in our speedy Kilowattrel, but somehow we're outsped. This is horrible for us, as Dark Pulse does huge damage to Zap Slow, while our Discharge isn't enough to get the KO, but it does get the paralysis. This vital piece of luck is such a lifeline, as it means that we now outspeed Iron Jugulus, safely finishing it off with another discharge to once again take the lead. But Turo fires back again. A fake out from Iron Hands returns serve, bringing this back to a tense 3v3. To counter the Electric Fighter, I send in our Ghost Rotom, who has a great matchup here. With the combination of Will-O-Wisp and Confuse Ray, we can comfortably nerf Hariyama's great-grandson. And all of this clears a path for Luxray, as two super effective play roughs just allow us to edge out the lead. Iron Bundle is in next, and this thing is terrifying. But thankfully, Turo instead tries to set up the snow, clearing us to land a Wild Charge that deals enormous damage. And after tanking a Freeze Dry on the following turn, a Volt Switch is enough to finish off the Delibot, bringing it all down to a 3v1. But despite being in the lead, this fight is far from over, because Turo's ace is a monstrous Iron Valiant who also gets an attack boost from its booster energy. This thing could easily slice through our entire team. Trying to play it safe, I first bring in Luxray, whose Intimidate wipes away that attack boost before our cat is valiantly wiped off the map by Spirit Break. With only our Rotom and Ampharos in the back, our team was on the brink of defeat. And since Ampharos can't 1v1 the Paradox monster, our hopes all fall onto the non-existent shoulders of Rotom. If our little Lightbulb can survive an attack and land its Will-O-Wisp, we might have a chance. We just desperately need Rotom to survive this one hit, and it does! Now, please, Rotom, land the Will-O-Wisp! Yes! Rotom clutches up Burning Iron Valiant, and while it can't survive much longer, leaving us in a 1v1, that burn means that Ampharos can now tank Iron Valiant's hits. With a Dazzling Gleam, followed by one final discharge, Ampharos lights up Iron Valiant like it's a Johto lighthouse, giving us an insanely close win over Turo. With that, we had beaten all of Pokémon Scarlet using only electric types. Jump into this video next for more Pokémon content, and like the video if you're a real Ampharos believer. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video.